Yo, what's up, guys? You know what time it is. We're going to be doing a lot of damage with Mirinae. In the thumbnail, you already seen a few previews of units that we're going to be using, but we're going to be testing out a whole bunch of stuff. How much crazy damage can we do? Everything will be optimized, everything will be re-runed, so definitely gotta like this video for just that reason, because this will definitely take a whole bunch of effort, but we're gonna see some crazy numbers. We're going to be doing both Arena Offense and Siege Offense, but let's first start with Arena Offense, and you know which unit is gonna get it. So to quickly showcase the defense, we're looking at a Nigong, pretty tanky, low speed, Chow, kind of tanky, low speed, same for the Eladriel, and then we have a no defense kind of unit as well, just to see how much more damage there is if they're low on defense. So for the very first team, Sonya on the most amount of damage you've ever seen a Sonya do. Let's first rerun a bit. So for the first one, we do have, of course, a triple fight on, triple fight. And we have a Sonya that is a little bit lower on the speed. I do want to see this one compared to a higher damage one that we make it like 180-ish speed. But let's see if we go full crit damage and attack on the Sonya like this. We're going to be hitting this Chow. And let's see if this does more damage than a full-on speedy Sonya. So artifact-wise, damage on water, and we have some speed up, attack increasing effect, and crit damage first. Okay, what would you guys say? How much damage would this do? Is this like 150? 200? 250? I am not sure, but let's see how much damage we do on this Chow. How much damage are we looking at? We're looking at 255k damage on the Chow. Eat that 4 times, brother. Eat that 4 times. Okay, let's change this to a little bit more of a speedy one. Let's see if that actually does do more damage than what we currently have. We're not going to go over the 162 speed, but let's see if adding more speed is actually going to equal more damage. In this case, the Chow is 0 speed, which is pretty uncommon for the enemy, but then again, who cares? It's testing stuff. Okay, we added in not that much more speed, but a little bit more speed. We definitely did drop a fair amount of crit damage, added some more attack in there. Let's see how much this does. Is it going to be more or is it going to be less? I think it's going to be less by the simple fact of, I think that the speed is more of a threshold maker rather than an insane amount of damage improver as an always statement. So let's see how much damage are we looking at. We're looking at a 231k damage. Definitely a little bit less damage right there, but definitely still a very strong hit. Then let's test out Lucian on the best set I have. I did update my best set that I have, which is currently looking like this. It's just the slot 6 that's kind of bad, but the other slots are definitely pretty decent looking. Let's see how much we can do. Of course, we're going to be using a attack lead in this case. Let me actually steal all of that from you. And then we're good to go for damage. Let's see how much damage a maxed out Lucian can do with also 9 fight sets, Mirinae in there, Miriam in there. That's going to be an insane amount of damage. How many per card are we looking at? 30k? More than 30k? Would we be able to do more than 30k? I am not 100% sure. We're looking at 30k cross board. I did also see some 32ks in there. And it's closing in on 100k damage Lucian right there. That's absolutely insane. I just want to see that one more time because that's just, we want to see the slow-mo on that. That was just too much insane of damage to not be doing at least a second time. Man, these things are kind of fun to test. So let's see, how much damage are we looking at? Yeah, that's just, wow. Okay, I didn't see the 32s correct, but yeah, 30 crossboard, definitely. Let's look at a bomb. So we have a Libli with close to, one has 4.2k attack Libli. That's already insane. Plus, I had to add in another fight set because there's nothing useful to put on this thing on the side stats anyways. Plus, the slot 3 is completely useless anyway, so it was easy to do. This slot was arguably good too, and we do have a whole bunch of attack on all of those runes anyways. Can even up this by a little bit. We also have a little bit of bomb damage, 18% over here. Quad roller, really good. Could up this to an 8. And then on this side, we also have a 15. Could also up that to an 8. It's going to be a little bit more annoying to actually get bombs off, and we don't want to have you using your 3rd skill, but let's just see if we can make that work. Maybe we'll have to do a try or two, because we're not using any Sierra, which of course normally would do, but we want to just see the maximum amount of damage on the bomb right now. We don't really care about anything else. So bombs are being placed. We did land all bombs. That's good. So they're definitely going to be a little bit annoying back and forth right now for other things. I should have actually went for stun on you. Let's hopefully you don't go for the S3 right now. Let's speed this up by just a little bit. I'm not sure if this is removed, if the bomb still goes off then. Wait, I should check that. Okay, you definitely cleanse the bomb. Okay, let's see how much these bombs are going to be doing damage for over here, because I think that there is some damage protection from the passive of the Nikong right now. Yeah, there's definitely damage protection from the Heavenly Protect right now. I'm also not sure if the bomb still connects on this. I think I'm gonna remove you for Sierra and just try that out in a second. But first, let's get a rotation where that bomb is activated, where this thing is not. Okay, we got the sun over here on the left, so definitely cannot do anything about it anymore right now. You're just going to get hit. But let's see if we still need this thing to be up the moment the bomb explodes or not. Okay, so this one is gonna get a turn right now. Let's see how much damage that is going to be for a single bomb. Keep in mind, single bomb, 65k damage single bomb. That hurts. That hurts. That is so much damage for a single bomb. Well, then again, you cannot really get two bombs in this. But let me see if her passive does actually activate the moment that it is placed, or it activates the moment the bomb explodes. Okay, Sierra on triple fight, of course. Cannot miss out on those good old triple fights. So let's see if that actually does work or doesn't work, because I'm not 100% sure about that. Then again, never had Mirinae, couldn't really test. But now we're in the testing phase. Let's see how this works. We're placing them bombs. All bombs placed. Let's just for funs add one extra bomb on you, just because it's funny. Let's see what we have for damage. 73k, so that does mean guaranteed that you have to have the Mirinae activated the moment you do place that bomb and you do let it explode. Also, this one is pretty darn nasty. Yeah, that's pretty nasty. That's pretty darn nasty right there. But enough for the ignore defense targets. Let's go for pure raw damage with a defense break. Okay, next up, let's try some good old Zyrals. We got Deborah, we got Miriam, we got the Mirinae, and then a Zyrals. That is probably the most disgusting thing I've seen in a very long time. 288 crit damage on a close to 2.6k attack. Let me actually put good artifacts on it too, because I haven't done that just yet. This is what we're gonna aim for. Attack increase effect, additional. Okay, so this is what we're gonna aim for. Attack increasing effect by a lot on the left side. This could be a little bit higher. And this one is just everything good altogether. I'm curious to see how much this will hit, because this might look at a very nasty hit right here. So of course, we first got armor break. If this is a grade, you will land on most. Yep, we're definitely aiming for those. That's what we like to see. This skill over here, I wouldn't be surprised if any of those units start lapping me right now. Or like this one starts lapping. Does it lap? Does lap. Okay, let's just hit anything that doesn't really matter. That's already hits hard. Okay, let's see. How much damage are we doing with the Zyrals with the most amount of damage? 222k AoE crossbow. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. That's pretty much what the Sonya did in a single target, is Zyrals now doing AoE. Difference is Zyrals has 0 speed and the Sonya was still decent on speed, but damn. Just for funsies, I want to see the exact same set, so without the crit rate that you normally have, on a Humble. Let's see how much less damage a Humble does. And that's also a thing to keep in mind. If I were to go less crit rate on a lot of those units, such as the Sonya, I would definitely do a lot more damage. But I want to see how much can I get over here. Adding in the other artifact, also a little bit of water damage. Let's see. So we're looking at 220k on the Zyrals. How much does a Humble do? Okay, we got those cross boards. So let's speed this up a little bit while we set up all of the things that we have to set up. Definitely not something you normally have in a normal fight, but totally does not matter. Okay, Humble, how much damage can you do compared to the Zyrals? Okay, we did miss a few crits. Wait, I'm 66 crit rate, and I miss... I missed 3 right away. That's why my units are high crit rate always, man. I cannot do a Babo crit rate. That only works for lucky people. I don't know, man. But yeah, 152. So that is a good 30% less damage, or even more, than the Zyrals. I do also want to give a tryout to a Kaki. I'm very curious to see how much a Kaki can do with the most amount of attack up and defense up and everything up. And how much would a Kaki do on damage with this whole setup? Because I think it might be pretty insane. Okay, so this is the Kaki setup that we're going to be working with. We have a Fatal plus a Guard. You do get extra damage from your defense and that kind of stuff as well. So we have a 3k on an 1100. Definitely pretty high sets. Attack increasing effect, both sides. Let's see how much that Kaki can do over here. Okay, getting everything buffed up. Kaki is looking way too big for a net 4, by the way. Let's see how much damage are we looking at. We're looking at a 120k damage. I was expecting more. I was definitely expecting more from this. Wait, am I missing something for some reason that I'm doing that much less damage? Because this is technically less damage than a Humble. I expected to do more damage than a Humble. Well, then again, you don't really need crit for this, so that definitely does help out. Yeah, it's definitely not a bad set. I was expecting a little bit more from Akaki with this kind of style. Either up. Let's move on to the next. And the next one is definitely going to be an interesting one. I want to see if Amber's damage gets improved by this thing. So in the end, the Tricks doesn't really add anything in this fight altogether. But the Lamilla with the branding will definitely do. And then the Amber might actually do an insane amount of damage. So pretty curious to see if that actually does work on the damage scaling on this. So we do get our speed buff in. We do get potentially defense breaks in. We did get fair amount of defense breaks. Oh, let's just hit over there. Shouldn't be doing that much damage. We're gonna go for the rise again from solo leveling. And then we're gonna go for a proper damage hit. How much are we looking at? 17k per hit. 17, 16k per hit. That is absolutely insane. Yeah, that kills everything. Good option is where you probably cannot really work this because you kind of need your protection units such as the Hay Gang or anything like that. But Loki against teams that you know that are slower than you, where you don't really need the Hay Gang tricks for the removal of the buffs already, you could actually use this. Like, this legit could be something that I start using in Siege or in Arena offense. Because if something is super slow and you know you're gonna outspeed it, you don't need the Veromos for the protection that much. You don't need anything for the protection that much. And this is to the point where I think this would even kill right now. Do you kill that? Almost. So if there was the armor break in there, you would have done a little bit more damage. But that's definitely a lot more killing potential than without. So let's see if it actually does work. Wait, how about this one? How much is this? Yeah, that's also by the curse magic a little bit more. That's an insane amount of damage. Wow. So that was all for Arena. Let's try some out in Siege. And we're going to be trying it against this team, which is relatively common seen for Siege nowadays. But you have a lot of these Zenitsus in there. And in this case, I'm going to go for a fair Siege team, which would actually be usable with, sure, a lot of speed, but not like full-on triple fights. Of course, we got to start it off with Illusion, and I did actually notice that I had speed in here. I can remove that for flat attack, so I can definitely get a little bit more flat attack and maybe get like the 2500 on then the 276. Let's see how much damage we do on all of this. Definitely not a recommended team to use against this because they have second lives and stuff, but I do want to use some teams later on which maybe have a recommendation against this as well. So let's just see how much damage we're looking at. We're looking at about 25k per card, a little bit less than 25k per card. I think there's some damage reduction over there, but there's no damage reduction over there. That is an insane amount of damage right there. And then you probably will heavily die against this because you don't want to be Lucianing that. However, what you could use against this is a Humble. So let's actually take that Lucian set, which is overstacking in the crit rate. So I think we can change this one over here. That's just a simple translation for this into this, but then with a little bit of crit rate as well. And of course, attack. This. Okay, we're missing one crit rate, but we'll take the one crit rate. We'll take the one crit rate. So that's a nice translation that we can do 1-to-1. I would definitely not go for a 99 crit rate normally in Siege, but just for the idea of it, how much damage can a Humble do on this? No attack, no defense break. So let's see how much we have. 30k. That's... Humble fucking sucks. Humble fucking sucks. You suck, you suck. Go away. Go away. If I did damage on right element, probably we get there. I kind of want to see the fact that we can get there. But some people told me, start using this, it's actually good. Not the biggest fans, but maybe with this. But then again, if they are a little bit more tanky, then you have an issue with that altogether in the first place. Of course, this would definitely work right now. But yeah, still 34k damage. Yeah, not really my cup of tea. I've also seen some people do this with Julie. Not really sure if I like that, but let's see how much damage that does. Taking a Humble set, just have to change that one slot again. And give it some decent artifacts. Well, do we just go attack increasing effects? Yeah, I think attack increasing effect combination is probably strongest we could do. Something along these lines. Let's see how much damage. Let's see how much damage it would do. Of course, you're not going to be using this into that element, but let's see if we can at least kill the Adriana. Boosting up the stuff. Double booster over there. Let's see how much damage. 9k per hit. Wow, she does, what, 6 hits? That's actually a lot more damage than I expected, not gonna lie. Okay, that is kind of usable. Yeah, her doing 6 hits, sure, they need to have will runes, otherwise it doesn't really work, but that is once again about like 25% more damage than a Humble does. Humble fucking sucks. Okay, one more place where you can use Mirinae, which is in RTA, which is going to be one of the more interesting places to use it in the first place. So we're going to be going for something that I did do before too, with the Light Series. And Light Series is definitely one of those units that I would say is very nice if you can full stack it with a Mirinae with everything else. So let's actually see. We're gonna have to go for the exact units all together, so that's going to be a little bit difficult to find. Wait, let me check what's my final unit. Final unit for me is the Deborah, and Deborah's in the storage box, okay? So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, but let's see if this actually does work. I won't have a lead, however, though. That's the only thing. So let's see how this works. I will have the Siri trying to get max stacks. I have Deborah and Mirinae trying to get as much damage impossible, and the Shizuka to pick up all of the buffs that the Armana placed before, and therefore gonna do an insane amount of damage. Also, I don't have any leads right here that do actually make sense, and then we're gonna do the most amount of damage possible on this Valeska. Let's actually see if that works, because... Okay, so she is on stack number 5 right now, I'm pretty sure. Or this was already the 5th, I hope, I pray. I'm not having all of my buffs just yet, that is the only issue, but I will start hard lapping right now. So let's see if we can get, let's see if it would actually work though. Yeah, I think we will get from you right now. Please land all of this. If we land all of this, we're Gucci. We did miss the branding. Okay, this is the only target where we do have the branding and everything on. So let's actually go for that. I would rather hit this, but let's go for this. How much are we hitting? Yeah, good old 150k per hit. It's a lot of damage as well. That's absolutely a good, insane amount of damage right there. So let's see the final hit over here. Yeah, that does kill. That does kill. But to be honest, I expected a little bit more damage from this kind of stats on a Light Series, to be honest. One thing that I had to keep in mind, I had damage on Dark. So technically you could add in 20% extra damage on that. But then again, too much back and forth to get the perfect rotation in, that is never gonna happen. I'd rather test these things that just work in one rotation. Well, absolutely had a lot of fun with this unit. Also, let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas that I should be combining with Mirinae. Can definitely do that right now. Now I'm just waiting for the Uldong and the Lucifer and those kind of things to make things even more crazy. But it's one of the higher hits I've seen in the game thus far. Except for that one time I went for a Crawler, and he did like a 250 million damage. But then again, can't always do that, and that's a little bit of a few hours of setup anyways. If you want to see that video, link in the description. Guys, you know where to find me. Follow me in the channel. Like this video. See you as always in the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.